The US dollar is completely dead. That's basically what everyone thinks. We are going to be talking about it. We're going to be diving in. But first and foremost, welcome everyone to the channel. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you are a subscriber. And with that being said, let's talk about it. So back in the beginning of May, we saw Robert Kiyosaki warning of a US dollar collapse if Brics crypto happens. And, we constantly are getting reminded of the US dollar, losing dominance. The US dollar is at risk, X, Y, and Z, right? And I want to say something real quick. What if, and this is just a scenario, speculating a little bit, what if Brics Plus is the new financial system and we are all getting distracted and they're kind of manipulating the way that this is working, and we're being told one side of the story while the other side of the story is happening behind the scenes? And what do I mean by that? And I've talked about this in the past. What if the whole Brics going against the dollar is part of the plan to divert your attention away from the target? Let's talk about that for a second. Over here we have Justin, U.S. Congressman Thomas Macy, says the world is going to stop using the US dollar as the global reserve currency.
Because the world is using our currency, and we can do that as long as they use our currency. But I think it's going to end at some point. They're going to quit using our dollars as reserve currency. I mean, I watched your interview with Putin, and one of the things, whether you hate him or not, one of the things he said that is true is when we sanctioned him, before we sanctioned Russia, 70% of their transactions were in US dollars. And after the sanctions, it's less than 20% of their transactions are in US dollars. So what we're doing with all these sanctions, ironically, we're shooting ourselves in the foot every time we sanction a country and say you can't use our currency to have a transaction. We're taking away our ability to charge them 3% for that transaction, because when we print 3% more dollars, we're just taking that money.
And we're also sending a really clear signal, which is the dollar's not safe for you.
Right.
It's the reserve currency because it's a safe haven, because it's a stable country. It's the most stable country in the world. And we're not going to weaponize the dollar because that would be shooting ourselves. But suddenly we are.
And they'll tolerate like 3% because we're not backed by dollars. We're backed by aircraft carriers right now. So they'll sort of tolerate that 3%. But one of the things we recently did in Congress, we passed something called the Repo Act, where we said we're just going to seize all of Russia's sovereign assets in the United States. Well, it turns out a lot of that is treasury debt that they've agreed to buy so that they can hold dollars. And here's the problem with that. When people see that we've seized their money that they gave us in exchange for these treasury notes, then other countries won't want to buy our debt. It's already happening. And the price of a long-term bond that the treasury puts out it's already gone above 4%. It's like over 4.5%. And they don't want to buy them anymore because, we probably wouldn't seize Great Britain's assets, but I could see us seizing China's assets.
That seems like theft. Just like take a country's assets. That belongs to the people of the country, right? It's not just Putin.
It is theft. Like, it's immoral, but even if you're okay with the amorality or immorality of it, it's short-sighted because eventually it'll catch up with us.
I want you all to succeed this alt season, so I put together a full list of tools that you guys can utilize to track where the largest whales are putting their money in this space that could ultimately net you a ton of ROI. I'm also giving out 30 free crypto gems that are fully researched and even broken down into specific risk categories. Both of these guides are completely free. All you have to do is claim your access right now by utilizing one of the links down in the description below. What are you guys waiting for? Make sure that you guys have access to this, especially for this alt season that is nearing. Now, as we do hear these conversations, these discussions, again, it's very easy to fall into the trap of listening to this and saying, wow, the whole world is going against the US dollar and it's dead. But knowing the information that we know about, for an example, tokenization, DLT, blockchain, the move on CBDCs, now the picture is becoming a lot more clearer, right? We can now really look at this from a completely different viewpoint and say, all right, what if we are moving against the US dollar? If the timeline to a new reserve currency is well overdue, what's next? Are we going to accept this one world currency essentially by the Brics? I don't think that that's the case. That currency is not going to work the way everyone is thinking. Again, as we look at currencies, we need a fully decentralized system where everyone has their own currencies. I've talked about this when it comes to CBDCs on multiple occasions. There will be no reserve currency. That's why we're starting to see this US dollar scenario, if you will, being pushed so heavily about how the US dollar is done, it's dead, it's failing, it's X, Y, and Z, right? Problem, reaction, solution. That's what we are getting right now. We already are presented with the problem. We're just waiting for everyone to react, which everyone is. What's the solution? Let's talk about a few other things before we really get down to that. Again, as we look at the Brics, this is Brics Plus. Shout out to Chad Steingraber for this. They are expecting to add 50 plus. Russian Federation Council, 40 countries want to join Brics. This is a very recent article. And we have in July of 2023, we have South African diplomat ambassador at large for Asia and Brics Sherpa in South Africa claimed that the expansion of Brics with countries wishing to join the group could lead to more than 50 countries joining. Again, igniting even more discussions around how the US dollar's dead. And one of those countries, Saudi Arabia on the list, that really heats things up because everyone's like, all right, the petrodollar's dead, it's done. And again, it alludes to the fact that, all right, the US is done, they're falling behind, the Brics are expanding rapidly, they're going to overthrow the dollar. Now, over here, from June 6th, we have Saudi Arabia joins BIS CBDC Project Enbridge as a full participant. Now, if we look down here, right, we can see all of the players that were involved here. And I did talk about this, right? We have Enbridge's 6 full participants, 27 other official entities, including the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and the central banks of the countries, including, and of course, they give us all the names. And there's other major names here, like Goldman Sachs, HSBC, and even China's 6 biggest state-owned banks that are all working on this project. Now, beyond this, we also have Enbridge reveals 15 use cases and 22 heavyweight participants. Goldman Sachs, HSBC, Societe Generale, and China's biggest state-owned banks are a part of the project. But then if we scroll down, we could see all of the other names, like Bank of Thailand, Central Bank of the United Arab Emirates, Hong Kong's Monetary Authority, the People's Bank of China, and the BIS. Like, this is all major heavy hitter players that are a part of this. Now, I bring this up because, all right, if we are starting to see this big move against the dollar, if we're starting to see, Brics expanding rapidly, and we're starting to see all the big players behind Brics as well, a part of the BIS, which we will get to, then how is this all going to work? And is the US just in the dark on this? We have over here, Brics gold will displace the US dollar, says top analyst. Now, I've talked to you guys about gold. CBDCs backed by gold issued out on DLTs. That's the plan in my opinion. I gave you guys this post back in August of 2023. We're talking about almost a whole year ago. And I've brought this post up multiple times, right? But I bring it up because it gives you my full thought process even today. It's the same exact thought process then and now. Breaking: South Africa's leader confirms that the Brics have reached agreement on the expansion process. We have reached agreement on the guiding principles, standards, criteria, and procedures of the Brics expansion process. Significant changes in motion. Too many are blinded by the false idea of de-dollarization and the downfall of the US to see the real play at hand. We are seeing a complete realignment of our global financial system. Remember that the United Nations, dating back to 2019, said that they are pushing for a new global reserve regime based on a supranational currency made up of a basket of developed nation currencies. Do you think it's a coincidence that we are now seeing a financial war beginning? How many articles have been posted this year talking about de-dollarization and the death of the US dollar? Problem, reaction, solution. This is all part of the game. I've mentioned this countless times. We are witnessing the beginning to the new financial system dominated by digital utility assets. Now, outside of this, let's go back to August of 2023 when Matthew Linwai shared this. We have XRP or something similar looks to be part of the new Brics wholesale CBDC payment network. And this is the Brics Pay, decentralized multi-currency digital international payment system. Over here, we have Brics Pay set benefits from a combination of traditional payment systems and new technologies such as CBDCs, decentralized finance, and tokenized asset secured money. Brics Pay is an expansion of payment options for companies and citizens of participating countries, as well as for the entire world and all existing or emerging payment solutions. Over here, we have Brics Pay. At the center point, you have all of the connections to like South Africa, India, Russia, China, Brazil, you name it. Now, also, we have Brics CBDC. Settlements between Brics Pay countries are expected to be made in wholesale digital currency. The principles of interaction with national currencies, calculation of rates, emission, and clearing are under development. So they're still planning this. Now, outside of this, over here. Now, I'm not going to read this whole post because, again, this is by me, but I said, let's analyze this information from Matthew and why I believe Brics could be using XRP. We have May of 2023, Atlanta Fed talks about Project Mariana, where they said XRP is being envisioned as an international payment medium or wholesale settlement coin. IMF 2023, Trust Bridges and Money Flows, a digital marketplace to improve cross-border payments, mentions XRP as a private settlement asset and what Ripple created as a private settlement marketplace. Now, you might be asking what they mean by that, and basically it means an asset that can settle private monies, i.e. central bank tokens, reserves, etc. This would be viewed as a wholesale settlement asset. Again, we have over here in wholesale digital currency. That's how these settlements between these Brics Pay countries will be expected to be made. Back over here, here we have the full breakdown from the Brics in terms of Project Mariana, or from the BIS in terms of Project Mariana, sorry. And we have the bridges, Wrap CBDCs, AMM. Very interesting, right? We have Ripple and Stellar are two blockchain-based companies that are trying to make value transfer cheaper. Ripple provides various services via the use of its native token, the XRP, which is roughly envisioned as an international payment medium or wholesale settlement coin. Finality, formerly Settlement Coin, is also seeking regulatory approval to provide such services. Over here, we have the IMF paper. There you have Ripple and XRP. Again, it's very, very interesting. Now, I did outline that we know that Ripple's already working on 5 public CBDCs and stablecoins. We know that Ripple is launching their stablecoin. We know that Ripple's in discussions with 20 of the 30 central banks at this point. And there's so many connections back to all the Brics nations with Ripple. I don't think that I need to tell you guys that. I've broken it down on multiple occasions. You can pretty much look those videos up and you could be met with them. But what we just got from Putin was very significant because we have this massive announcement, 1.1 million views, 18,000 likes. Russian President Putin confirms Brics is developing its own independent payment system. Brics is working on our own independent payment system, free from political pressure, abuse, and external interference. Again, as we listen to this, as we look at this, what does this get you thinking about the US? Well, the Brics are challenging the US. They're killing the US dollar. They're going against the US. That's everyone's thought process on this. And that would be the very easy thing to look at this, but I want to see the other story behind this. I want to see what they're really planning because I don't think that this is going to be that easy. I don't think it's as easy as, hey, Brics are developing this own payment system to go against and challenge the US and the US dollar. I think that would just be too obvious. We are seeing a complete realignment, and I'm going to talk about that here in a second. But listen closely to this.
Including within Brics, we're working on shaping an independent payment system free from political pressure, abuse, and external sanctional interference. In this regard, I'd like to remind you that this year, Brics was joined by new participants, that is, Saudi Arabia, Iran, United Arab Emirates, Egypt, and Ethiopia. With this, the share of our association in global GDP has reached 36%. And the population of the planet has reached 45%. And Brics has tremendous potential for joining of new participants, and such drive of stakeholders from different continents can only be welcomed by us, and will support it, including.
So you guys haven't. Again, as we really look at this is a major announcement. It's one that everyone is going to play into around the US dollar being dead. But when we look at a few things, let's go over to the BIS. All right. These are all of the member central banks. As we look at this, you can pretty much see every single BRICS nation on here. You see major players around the world. All right. You have India on here, back up here. Brazil's up here. I believe, let me go here. So there you have Brazil. I just want to show you guys this real quick. You have India, right? China's on here. And you also have Russia. You also have South Africa as well. And then guess what? At the bottom of the list, you have the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System, the US. All right, so wait a second. Let's think about this logically. The BRICS system that they're looking into is utilizing Enbridge. Enbridge is created by the BIS, all right? And the US and all of the BRICS nations, their central banks, are a part of the BIS. So what are we really seeing right now? Is this one massive show to divert our attention away from what's really happening? And when we look at the Enbridge project, by the way, all of these big players are tied to it. And it's all around CBDCs. Now, if we think about this, right? Who's working with the BIS? Ripple. Quant's working with the BIS. Like, these are two players. And by the way, April of this year, internet, the financial system of the future, like, we know that this is what they're planning. We know that this is their plan. We know that this is happening. And it's just crazy to me that we still have people believing that all of what we are seeing right now is to kill the dollar and push back on the dollar. No, this is to forge the new financial system. Like, this is a major move away from the fiat world into this new digital world. Even here you have, this is the vision of the Finternet. Multiple financial ecosystems interconnected with each other, much like the internet, designed to empower individuals and businesses by placing them at the center of their financial lives. It advocates for a user-centric approach that lowers barriers between financial services and systems, thus promoting access for all. And this is all through DLT, tokenization, unified ledgers. I mean, it's just crazy to me that they are literally telling everyone this. Yet, we're still seeing the base value of this. We're not looking beyond it. And what's crazy about this, they already told you that this vision, to deliver this vision, it requires proactive collaboration between public authorities and private sector institutions. And by the way, as we really look at that, Ripple is a part of this. We know that Ripple's a part of this. We know that Quant's a part of this because they were handpicked by the BIS. Look at the other projects. Look at, for example, Rosalind with Quant. Look at Agora with Quant. Look at Ripple on the CPMI group. Like, do you honestly think that this was all just a coincidence? Like, things are actually happening here, yet most people are asleep at the wheel, and they're only looking at this from an obvious standpoint, which is, oh yeah, that's right, BRICS are killing the US dollar and the US financial system. The US is done. That's what everyone thinks. I hear people that are not even in crypto, they don't even know about crypto, talking about how the BRICS are killing the US dollar. If that's what typical people that are not even around finance, they don't even care about finance, they're not doing any research around finance, if that's what they're thinking, and that's what everyone's general consensus is, guess what? There's no way the plan like that is that obvious. And the US just sitting back and saying, oh yeah, let it happen. No. There's a much bigger play at hand here. And I think that we can basically see it. We're here 24/7 in this market. We know what's happening. We've been doing research. You guys have been following along with me. I've talked to you guys about this on multiple occasions. This financial system as we know it is done. We are moving towards a new financial system. And I know that you guys have been hearing about that for so long and it gets so tiresome. But when you have the central bank of central banks with 63 of the largest central banks out there telling you about this finternet, it's like the internet of value, right? And they're telling you about tokenization and all of these big moves. And then you look at Enbridge, and which this new Brics payment system is basically built upon. You can clearly see the play at hand. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on. If you guys want more free content, you guys are more welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.